Hey everyone, welcome to What's the Function. I'm joined today by the CEO of FSI Strategies, Reda Morsley,
Great to be here, John.
and we're going to talk about OneDrive, which we hadn't talked about before. And I wanted to bring this up because you're going to use OneDrive in a different way than I'm going to use it. And it is everybody's individual kind of document repository for their content. And we've talked about SharePoint, but we've never actually got a user's experience on OneDrive. And I figured that you could give a pretty unique perspective to our audience about, how do you use OneDrive on a daily basis? What are some of the new cool features that you've noticed? And I'll dive into a little bit of the technology around how they're unifying OneDrive and some of the changes that we've seen recently. So, what do you use OneDrive for daily, weekly? How as an end user do you use OneDrive?
Well, I think the simplest way to say that is to I don't even realize it that I use it, right? It's just document storage. It's just a way for me to just store my documents and access them from anywhere, even mobile devices, right?
Yeah.
Phones and cell phones. So it's pretty cool. But, in terms of my day-to-day use, I open documents and I just save them as if it were on a local drive. And,
Yeah.
it's just kind of totally embedded into my flow of work. So it's completely transparent in a way.
I think that that's a big change from what we saw a couple years ago, though, when OneDrive online felt very different than OneDrive on the desktop. And they did a really good job at trying to unify that client to give like a standardized experience, which I think has led to what you're experiencing now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely seamless now, so the way I use it on my desktop as opposed to online, it's the same experience. So
one of the best things that I like about the new experience, or like the relatively new, they're still rolling a lot of it out, is that my desktop documents and pictures known folder redirection is naturally done. And that's a default that's been around for a couple of years now. But being able to go to my mobile device and be like, oh, I saved this on my desktop, and you ask me for an Excel document or something, and I can just send it from my mobile device, whether I'm on the train or sitting in traffic or
that's
whatever.
Very helpful. That's we do this almost on a daily basis here. The collaboration component to it, the being able to share the files, and being able to just review files on a cell phone. I think a lot of times I find myself with pockets of time, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, when I have the kids at the baseball game or what have you, and just being able to open a document through OneDrive on my iPhone is just really, really, really valuable to me.
I mean, I use it on my phone. I use it on my iPad. I use it on my desktop. One of the cooler features, if you've been watching What's the Function, we talked about Windows 365. It's a really great feature to be able to synchronize across desktops. So let's say that, I know that you have two computers. You have a home computer, and then you have your laptop. And both are joined to Azure Active Directory, and they're both secured and all of that stuff. But your desktops are in sync, or you're getting your files in both places, and you don't even have to readjust per se, right?
Yeah, it really goes back to this idea that I don't even notice it anymore, right? It's just as if I was just working on one thing.
Yeah.
And that's really valuable. So knowing that I can save a document on my desktop in the laptop, and then I just go down to my office at home, and I have that very same document on. So it's very valuable, extremely helpful.
And then we've started implementing, or trying to implement, some of the cooler new features, like adding documents to a meeting before the meeting starts. That has been pretty invaluable, especially if you have like a PowerPoint or maybe a document like I keep going to Excel, but an Excel or a Word or a PDF that you want everybody to review, right? You can attach that into the meeting and then ensure that your users can get access to the data before, and maybe you put it in your agenda or the loop component that they're now pushing out.
That's like transforming your documents into intelligent documents, I think, which is really helpful. And as far as I understand it, right, you need OneDrive for that, or it has to be cloud enabled document.
So you've got to have OneDrive to be able to do the meeting document stuff. OneDrive is in the background of a lot of things for teams. Most people don't realize that OneDrive and SharePoint, we talked about this before, but they're one major system. SharePoint sits underneath of OneDrive, and Teams really sits on top of both OneDrive and SharePoint. So to be able to use a lot of these new features, you've got to have OneDrive. And even if you don't realize, I think a lot of people, talking to the pervasiveness and transparency, a lot of people today use OneDrive, and I don't even think that they realize they're using OneDrive. Like it's there, but they're not
Yeah.
experiencing it.
I think that's the biggest success in terms of what Microsoft has been able to accomplish with OneDrive is that you don't even realize that you're using it, which
Yeah.
is great. So you're getting the benefits of both worlds. So if you're a little bit older like me, and you're used to working with File Explorer and that way, right? You open a Word document, you create a Word document, you save it in with your File Explorer. That experience is still there.
Yeah.
And I know that's still a thing for a lot of people. A lot of people that we talk to, customers of ours, everybody says the same thing. Change is hard, right?
Change is hard.
If you're used to working in a certain way with your File Explorer. So again, being able to just know that you're using OneDrive without changing that is a huge thing.
Yeah. I think that the more pervasiveness that it's caused, like if you have Box or something else, you've got to kind of go out of your way.
Yeah.
Microsoft being able to naturally integrate it directly into whatever it is, right? Whether it's PowerPoint or Outlook or whatever. Yeah. OneDrive is a part of it, and you're not even thinking about it. When I create a new Word document, my workflow is create new Word document, hit save. It'll automatically save in my OneDrive. And then because of Brian Dagan and a lot of the things that our security team does here, that's automatically tagged. And then, that document holds the tag. And that happens across OneDrive and SharePoint, and you can even add more security via using OneDrive.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I think one of the features that has saved me many times is the versioning component of
versioning,
and the versioning in OneDrive is just incredible, right? So that's been very helpful.
How many documents have you had to go back? And I like versioning, and then I also really like the compare. Like, so yes. That if I'm going through and I'm working on a contract, or maybe we're doing revisions with the marketing team, I want to be able to see what the previous and the next were, and being able to set those like side by side and review them is excellent.
Yeah, that's very helpful, especially when you collaborate with a lot of people in a document, and you want to be able to go back in time to see what previous versions were like, because sometimes you get that feeling like, I think there was something here before that I really liked. I don't remember exactly what it is. Go back, do the compare, extremely helpful.
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you were saying in terms of the flow of things. And we say this a lot around here, that it's in the flow of work. And again, OneDrive is just brilliant at that. It really is in your flow of work. Regardless of how you work, if you're somebody that works on a web browser, if you're somebody that works on your local machine, on your desktop, it's right there in the flow of work. It's literally everywhere. And it's super helpful.
And from what I've been reading, and we're seeing, Windows 11 plus OneDrive is bringing new additional upgrades, and they're really trying to unify the experience between the desktop client and the web client. The newer features they brought in the web client, like the meeting, being able to see like what documents were on a meeting, also brought other features like being able to sort by document type. That was excellent. Being able to sort by who shared it with you or who you've shared with. Those are features that people might not notice, because right now they're only available if you go to the OneDrive app specifically within Microsoft 365. Matter of fact, they're not even, if you're on Microsoft 365 and you click the files on the side, that's actually not taking you to OneDrive. That's like an overview. So there's technically 3 versions right now. And depending on if you're a regular user, maybe a little bit older, still using File Explorer, maybe a little bit newer of a user who just goes into that drop-in page, or if you're a power user of OneDrive, you actually go into OneDrive on Microsoft 365, and you get all of that rich data coming back.
You know what I like to do when I access the OneDrive app on the browser, I do a lot to access the SharePoint files, actually, which is actually really cool. I remember back in the days where you couldn't really access SharePoint files via OneDrive, but now you can. That's very helpful, both on a web browser, on my laptop, or even on my mobile device when I open the OneDrive app.
Well, it was very interesting. They called it OneDrive, and then there were multiple drives, right?
Yeah,
like every single thing that you did was a new drive being mapped. So it's really nice to actually have one place to go that is a central repository for SharePoint and for personal storage, which is why it's very interesting. We talked with Mike about it, but we said SharePoint's become a new microservice, and this even proves it more. Like, OneDrive is the client-facing piece, where you'll see, shared document libraries like accounting or finance or whatever, and then you'll also see all your personal documents, like you said, that's all merged into one now, and that's becoming a unified client, which is excellent. Like having a one unified client is what we're going after. So good job, Microsoft. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny to see the evolution of OneDrive. I remember also, gosh, believe it or not, I think it was like almost 9 years ago, where syncing was a big issue.
Groove.exe
Yeah,
and the sync
you
issues
see
were
that
all,
process running in the background. You know, what's amazing now is syncing is, I don't think I've had a single issue with syncing whatsoever. Kind of take that for granted today.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to know that when I have a document, when I open a document, like you said, with the redirecting, if I save it on my desktop, I don't have to think about it. It's going to be there.
Yep.
And it's seamless and it works so well. So I don't know what kind of magic they've been doing in the background, but the syncing is just absolutely phenomenal. I remember when, when Dropbox used to have an edge on that.
Yeah.
Now it's totally a different ballgame.
I think that the competitors definitely had an edge for a while. Dropbox specifically had an excellent synchronization client.
Yeah.
And that was their whole thing from get-go was the synchronization. I think OneDrive has caught up to that now, and the synchronization engine is, like you said, it's pervasive, it's great, it goes everywhere. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what the thing that I love about OneDrive is it's not even as much as I love to use it. So as a user, the functionality that I love, what I really love OneDrive for is what it represents for an organization. Like you and I are both leaders in the organization, and the stuff that OneDrive provides to our company in terms of security and productivity, that's what really impresses me with OneDrive.
I think that from a leadership point of view, it gives us amazing controls.
Yeah.
Great governance, great controls. It allows us to really go in and do things like data loss prevention and piggyback that off of our global data loss prevention policies.
Yep.
Right? If this were a file server and maybe we had some cloud storage and some file server, that'd be different. Neither here nor there. It is much better. Like the security and the governance and the compliance that we can hit with OneDrive is,
and the auto labeling now that we're using, it's really phenomenal. So knowing that as an organization we can retain our data, secure it, and even identify it, really, which is really helpful, because in essence of that, you're kind of worried about where's our data.
I
mean, everywhere. The leakage is a real issue. So now that you have it in OneDrive, and because it's seamless, it's because now it's in the flow of work, we've almost taken the user out of that equation.
We're trying.
It's very helpful. I know that's always a challenge, but that for what it represents from an organizational perspective, it's incredibly significant.
I mean, I remember back when we had servers on-prem, and we've always had user drives, right? Like it's been built into Active Directory. It's been a thing forever, just so everybody knows. So we've always had that, but we always had roaming profile. We've always been attempting to get the data from the physical edge machine and move it over to a server-based environment. So we had roaming profiles, we had profile redirects, we had all of these different things to be able to make it work, and none of it really worked well. We always had issues, and I think the cloud has fixed a lot of that. But we've been trying to solve that problem, and now it's just solved. And we don't even have to worry about the device that's on the edge. If it has data, we're moving most of the primary data spots over to the cloud automatically.
Are we 100% there yet? No, but I mean, the progress has been undeniable. And one of the things I really love about OneDrive is, we always say that the user will always find a way to take the path of least resistance.
They will. Yeah.
Well, now that OneDrive usage has become the path of least resistance because it's so easy to use, you don't even know you're using it.
Yeah.
And so that's been really, really helpful for us. It's been very helpful for our customers too, that worry about their data, that want to make sure that they can control their data. And when we're entering, as we enter this age of AI and Copilot, making sure we have these controls in place are super, super important.
Yeah, because I mean, that data will be able to, in theory, be queried by the user, and if it's in their personal OneDrive or shared, and that's the other thing. And we could dive into sharing links and how much Brian Dagan hates them, and he'll probably kill me if he hears this. But I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to me about something that seems simple, but it's kind of complex. And, I hope that you want to join us again, and we'll talk more about fun things in Microsoft technology.
Well, I love the set here, love being here, and I look forward to doing more stuff like this.
Thanks, Rada.
Thanks.